Episode 14. Welcome to Salento. We love remote refurbishing and things have moved on. I hope you have enjoyed episode 13. It's nice to look at behind the scenes at the work that goes in the making those little decisions and choices that really make the difference when everything comes together. But now in episode 14, a lot of amazing and exciting things are happening. Already as I come through, I can see glue. Yes, it's finally time to cover the floor and start talking about finishing. So we are getting closer, and as I walk into the site, I'm so happy that I have seen the right person doing this job, which is Vittorio. His attention to details is absolutely incredible. I kept saying that he's got lasers actually working in his eyes. The way he works with his old tape measure, it's just fantastic. So let's go in and see what's happening. Right, wow, the space has been taken over. We have Daniele this morning. Buongiorno, Daniele. And Maestro Vittorio is inside. So straight away I can see that all the materials, look at these large slabs. This is the floor that is gonna cover this amazing area. And then the cementina. Remember, we went to see where they actually make them. And this is fantastic because this particular cementina has been sliced in half. So it's a special production. So first of all, for a couple of reasons. One, because the height here, we had a little bit of an issue with the height. So we needed really not to go beyond a certain height. But also, it's going to be much better for the heat to go through because we got the underfloor heating. So all the materials are here. Let's see what's happening inside. Well, I can hear Vittorio working in here. Buongiorno Vittorio.
Buongiorno.
Wow, il maestro, eh? Che spettacolo.
Salve.
Sembra quasi una cementina questa, no?
Sì, sì, uguale.
Wow. È difficile mettere sto disegno insieme?
Insomma, è abbastanza complicato.
So I was just asking him if it's difficult to put this pattern together. Have you seen the intricacy of this pattern? It's incredible. Monday morning, there's been some progress, and wow, the size of these tiles, 120 by 120. Now you think that because the tile is so large, makes the job easier, but it's kind of the opposite really, because the floor needs to be extremely level. And also when it comes to go around the corners and walls which are out of square, which this is the particular case in this property, you can imagine, 400 years old property, walls are not straight. This makes the job a lot harder, but what an amazing result is starting to come together. it was very important to decide how to start, because although these people have been doing it for many years, but their sensibility really potentially needs to come from you, the architect, the designer. And this particular choice was made to start in the center of all these doors. So when you come through the room, you actually see a straight line going in, because all the walls are off, so then everything goes in different directions. You're never going to have a straight tile, but at least when you look at the line down the room going into the distance, you can actually see a straight line. Little choices like this really make the difference when it comes to tiling. Just things that to keep in mind when you're working with very, very large format, like this one is 120 by 120. Well, you can see the challenge here that Vittorio had, because how do you put the tile in without cutting it and making horrible joints? Well, the only option you have, like it's done here in this particular case, is to slice the wall. So you can actually put it in, insert it, and then obviously the plaster needs to be rebuilt all the way around. Now, if you've got a skirting, you don't need to worry too much about potentially rebuilding it or making it look good, because the skirting will cover that. But if you don't have a skirting, then you need to make sure that the finishing after gets done properly. But what an incredible amount of work. You see that corner there as well. And you know, I always had a vision about this particular property. As you're coming up the stairs and coming around the corner, a celebration of Salento, as you have noticed probably in the render in this entrance. And look at this. Vittorio, buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Wow, Vittorio,
Salve.
qui con le cementine come andiamo? Mamma,
Bene,
che
bene.
sono belle. Non sono originali, però sono come quelle originali,
Sì,
no?
sì, sì. No, non cambia niente.
Isn't this amazing? This company in Marra produces cementine the same way that the cementine were produced a long time ago. As you've seen in episode 13, I went to see how the cementine are made. Maybe one day I'll produce a whole video just about the process. But years later, the same technique, and also achieving this extraordinary look.
Yeah.
So when you're working in an ancient environment such as this, I know that you can't take your eyes off this geometric form. This is amazing. Also because once it gets finished, it gets polished. But what I was saying that when you work with properties like this, you can't find a wall that is straight. The properties were built to lock into other properties. So before you start laying a floor like this, you want to make sure, and especially if you're thinking of doing it yourself, you want to make sure that you spend sufficient time to do some dry run and some test. And because the last thing you want is to end up on the side of a wall with a little strip of tile, or with a place that is joining another room with a little strip of tile. So very important. A little executive decision that was made just now, for example, is just to take a little bit of that door ledge off. So rather than ending up with a half a tile, as you're coming up the stairs, you have an entire tile meeting the entire floor. So decisions like this are very important. And when you're working with craftsmen that have really been doing this for a long time, and they care about you and they care about the finished product, then you'll always achieve the result. Now, should we go and see what's happening in the bathroom? I know that they've been tiling the walls. I find this amazing. So these windows were lowered back probably in the 30s, 20s for whatever the reasons. You know, these windows were too big, so they just cut into the stone, filled the top up with a cement or with something like that, and then kept the bottom part as a window. So now we're reinstating the original window, but in doing so, he's got to make sure that he makes a piece that fits here and it reproduces the original shape. And he's doing that by hand now. He's actually carving the stone back. I find that to be absolutely amazing. And we are coming to the end of episode 14. Vittorio, hai fatto un lavoro eccellente.
Grazie.
It's been excellent, going from wavy cuts to really crazy things, because when you're working in a building that is over 200 years old, nothing is straight and you really need to think ahead. I'm sure you've learned a few little tips. If you ever do anything like this by yourself, or if you are contracting somebody, you just make sure that the attention to details is there, because once it's down, once it's there, it stays. And you know, your eye is always going to go to that thing that it doesn't look right. So having the right people on the job makes the difference. Dedication, incredible. Commitment, above. So I'm very, very pleased. And before he starts his big machine, I will say, grazie Roberto. Roberto is just about to finish, but we're almost done. Grazie Daniele. Daniele is just cleaning up all the opening, ready for the grouting to go in. Daniele, stai pulendo le fughe, vero?
Certo.
All ready for the grouting, so we'll share that and you'll see it once it's all done. And once again, a big thank you to the maestro, which is Vittorio, which has been incredible in all through the process, in coordinating it with me and making sure that we'll deliver the highest result. And don't expect anything less when you're refurbishing a property. Thank you very much for joining this episode 14. 15, what it's going to bring, we don't know, but there is a lot of things happening and we're getting closer to the ribbon. So stay with us until the end, press the subscribe, press the little bell, and stay safe wherever you are.